goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. To the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, flying right up. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. Cause I'm on, you make everything feel fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs. Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. Forget about how are you, Pete? How are my dads? Never mind. We're getting straight into the shit because it is shit. Yes, let me just check. That works. Right. Let's get into it. Let's bring up the team news and get down to business. Something that the lads could have done.
Hold on a second. What's going on here? Have I lost Daz? I think I might. Hold on a second. Can people hear me? You are, but I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was me for a second. I wasn't sure if it was you. I did not.
No, yeah, I don't know. There's some gremlins in the system somewhere. Yeah, let's take two. Here is the team. Here is the team, and you know what? The team was pretty much as we called it on away days. This was the team we had selected, and in the position Eddie played them in the positions we asked him to play them as well, as in Tonali playing that CDM role, Bruno but for the forward, kind of maybe on number 8, Joe Linton on the left with Willock behind him, Gordon on the right. Thoughts on the team, Pete?
Yeah, really happy with it actually. I'm really pleased to see Tonali come into the team. Even more pleased to see him playing in the number 6 role, which is what we talked about when us boys were on away days. We did the sort of like the lineup that we wanted to see, and it was pretty much that. So when we saw it, we were like, yes, that was what we wanted to see. Happy to see that. Hearing, you know, players on the bench as we normally saw, the likes of Trippier, Wilson, Barnes. It was all positive, mate. It was all positive. I imagine you felt exactly the same going into that when the team news dropped.
Yeah, no, I did. I was delighted with the team. It was as we called it, as we wanted. So can't blame Eddie for that. I think most people would have said that's the team that should be capable of getting a good result against Crystal Palace and away at Crystal Palace. But nonetheless, that's potentially their strongest team. But let me fly through the game and bring up speed. You can fill in any blanks here, Pete, because of course my stream let me down on the day, but I did see the extended highlights. Okay, after 10 minutes, Isak is holding his hip lower back after the impact with Terry Mitchell. After 18 minutes, J7 is down holding his shoulder after landing awkwardly. So then, as was a situation there where J7 and Isak were both down at the same time, more or less. But the decision is made. Isak needs to come off. Barnes comes on, not Wilson, not Asula, both who are strikers. Wilson is just back from injury. He's not going to be able to play 70 minutes at that stage, and Asula is not ready for playing in the Premier League for us, apparently. So yeah, he goes and puts Gordon up front and it switches things around by putting Gordon out on the wing. So Big questions then, I guess, is kind of there straight away. Big questions. Can Isak play against Liverpool on Wednesday night? Now, I did see what Eddie said after the game. He said it was a contact injury, not a muscle pull, which is good news for us. Hopefully, he'll recover quickly, but at this moment, I don't know. So we're none the wiser, and whether Isak would be able to play against Liverpool. 29 minutes, massive save from Pope with his feet, or came off his knees, was offside anyway, but it was still a good save from Pope. 35 minutes, Palace and Muniz should have scored. The shot just wide of the post after it was put through. In overall, from my notes on the first half, Palace had the better chances, and they had a number of set pieces. They should have been ahead, but it was 0-0 at the break. Any thoughts on the first half, Pete, first, or we continue on?
Yeah, honestly, mate, I feel like I've had deja vu for the last 2 matches, and maybe more matches over the course of this season. I kind of feel like I'm going through the same process all the time. Like that was a hard watch. It was such a hard watch to see the way the game's panning out, is because the way the game panned out is what we're all pretty much praying it doesn't pan out to be. And it was rinse and repeat, mate. I'm not going to lie. So Newcastle United hold possession. The one thing I said I didn't want is to do. I wanted Palace to have the ball. Give Palace the ball. Let them press onto us, and we hit them on the counter. So we got space in and behind. We didn't. They sat in. We had the ball. We had all this possession, and I'll come on to possession in a minute because it drives me insane, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. But I'll go into more detail on that. But it's rinse and repeat, mate. We have all the possession, do absolutely nothing with it, and then they hit us on the attack and get through and create a couple of chances. Now, obviously, their biggest chance of the game, of the half, should I say, is the Munoz chance from our corner up the other end of the pitch. So we have the corner. We do absolutely nothing with it. Lewis Hall gives it away really cheaply, and bang, they're on the counter attack. And yeah, you could argue they should have put that ball in the net. It should have been 1-0. So we were majorly fortunate with that. But for me, it's the same old in terms of, we go away from home, we eat up a lot of possession, we do absolutely nothing with it, and then with the small percentages of possession that the opposition have, they carve out 2, 3, 4 chances. And look, let's be honest, some of those chances were half chances at best. Some of them were routine saves for Pope. Some of them were just poor efforts over the bar that were going nowhere near the target. So, I mean, but they've given themselves the opportunity to carve out those chances, half chances, whatever you want to call it. And I just, honestly, it absolutely drives me mad, mate. I'm becoming real sick of this rinse and repeat type of performances. But look, mate, you share me your thoughts from the first half and just in general from what you saw, because I know it wasn't great.
Yeah, no. As you said, Pete, just sick of it now at this stage. But I think we'll get onto it more when we come to the final, the game as a reflection as a whole.
I'm really sorry. I want to bring this point up because I want to get your thoughts on this, because I definitely have a thought on this too. And it's from William Smith. Big up to William. Always a big supporter of the channel, either on socials or in the chat. It's great to have you. Sorry, but that injury, as William puts it, to Isak is soft. What were your thoughts on that? Obviously, he had a bit of a sandwich collision, mostly with Mitchell, where he gets a bang on the hip. What did you make of that? And then subsequently going down 2 or 3 times before eventually being subbed.
Yeah, so as I said at the start, I could not watch the stream. My stream let me down, so I was listening to it and then watched the extended highlights. But I did see the collision with Tyreek Mitchell. Yeah, you would imagine he'd just get up and brush it off, but it did. It's what you expect as a Premier League football. There's going to be a rough and tumble in there. I suppose Isak isn't. He's not a Holland, as in like he's not putting himself around like he would do. But I don't
He's
know.
not.
There must have been something there. He's not going to come off after fucking 18 minutes or something. So it must be some kind of damage to him that he wasn't able to continue. And this is said he went down a number of times. So there's something there. He's not going to cry off too easily.
And that's my thought, Daz. I had that same thought when he come off. I'm like, for God's sake, this is all we need. A top striker going off so early in the game. And my mind is exactly where yours was. Is that if he's coming off, it must be significant to the point where he can't continue. Now, I never thought it was going to be anything that was going to keep him out long term. I fully expect him to play on Wednesday. I genuinely do. But with impact injuries, they can be, where they're very uncomfortable at that moment in time, and then once you're finished and you kind of bring down the swelling, everything's okay. But I have to be honest, kind of with William, with his comment here with regards to Isaac, it'd be interesting what other people have said in the chat about this, is because when I saw that collision, when I saw how he responded to it afterwards, I couldn't help but think that it was extremely soft, and I couldn't help but think that it really showed Isaac to be quite weak. And it wasn't a good look for him. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a medical person. I don't know the details. They might come out and say something completely different, but it did look incredibly soft. It was clearly an impact injury where he took a little bit of a bang onto the hip. But I never genuinely thought that type of collision happens 3, 4, 5 times a game for a player.
It's
part
and parcel of it. And why has he not gone straight down the tunnel? He goes and sits in the bench from the clip I saw.
And this is the thing, Bruno's was concerning on Monday because he goes straight down the tunnel to get treatment. He's clearly sitting there. He's probably got an ice pack on it, like to bring down the swelling, which solidifies to me that it's an impact injury. I don't know. Maybe we're clutching at straws here. I think it's an interesting point that you raised, William, just because I felt exactly the same. I thought it kind of made him look very weak. The fact that he got a little bang, or it seemed like a little bang on his hip, and it's been enough to get him off the pitch, because Palace must have been going like this, thinking, we got their main striker off early on in the game. That's one less thing to think about. And then even more so than that, Daz, they've put Anthony Gordon up front, who is even less physical than he is. And they must be going, well, he ain't going to be running in behind like Isaac. He hasn't got that instinct to finish like Isaac. They're centre-backs. Maxence Lacroix, who I thought was absolutely brilliant in his performance, probably one of the best players on the pitch. He must have been absolutely licking his lips at that. So yeah, I just, like I say, maybe we're reading too much into it, but I did have those thoughts, which is why I thought I'd bring it up, because it was interesting. I think Baz is frozen again, but yeah, some really interesting points there, for sure. But look, I want to see what your thoughts on this situation is, because it clearly is not a good performance, guys. And I think this is the most concerned that Newcastle United fans have been for quite a long time. And it's a big concern for me, I have to say. And look, there's lots of questions coming in the chat. Please put your questions in, because we are marking them, and we will come back to them once we've gone through the other parts of the game. So just Daz, I've just said, people put their concerns in, their questions in, let us know what you're thinking, because we're going to come to that. Second half, Daz, not that there's a lot to talk about, but fire away, mate.
Yeah, my internet lasted about the same at the time as Isaac did there, so I go off as well. So second half, let's get into it. Let's go straight to the goal, because after Barnes wins a free kick, Gordon runs over the ball to Dummy, Hall onto Tonali to Gordon. Gordon flashes it across the box, and to this man, Mark Gahey, to apply the finish. Should have been a Newcastle player in the summer, but delighted he picked up his first goal for Newcastle on that occasion. Then cue the celebrations from the fans, and they were waiting to knock over the advertising hoardings as well. But yeah, delighted with the goal. Didn't deserve it. really great, but great set piece move actually. So we'll give credit to Tyndall on that one. We have been shouting for something on set pieces for a while. So that was a great move, a great vision from Tonali to play it in Gordon, and you would hope if Mark A didn't put it in, that someone else would have got to it. But your thoughts on that goal from Mark A, Pete?
Yeah, as you just said, Daz, a really well worked set piece. It was really good to see that something different was being offered in those type of situations, and it was really well worked. Great little movement from, I believe it was Hall to Tonali to Gordon across goal, and because he puts it across with so much pace right on the goal line effectively, the only thing Gay can do it, because of the way he's running towards the ball, is it can just bounce off his leg and go in. And you're right, it was undeserved at that point, but I don't think any of us were complaining, and probably all going nuts, and quite rightly so, because it was the one thing I asked for, Daz. I said it on away days. I wanted us to take the lead. I wanted us to give ourselves the opportunity to be in the lead, so we've got something to hold on to. And to get that, I'll be honest with you, I genuinely thought that we could see out the game, because our defensive record hasn't been bad this season. Okay, it's one of the best in the league, and so I was confident that we could potentially see them out, because they're not the best. They're not the best of goal scorers in the league either. So getting that goal was a huge sigh of relief that we got the first goal, and the thought that we could potentially see it out. But of course, that wasn't the case, mate, which I'm sure you're probably going to mention in a second.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Well, let's keep going, because 58 minutes, a pinno shout from Palace, where it came off Ashar's arm, but his arms are down by the side. Nothing, no penalty. Forget about it. 61 minutes, Pope save from Sarr, and then Byrne blocked it off the line as well from a shot from Muniz. Great, actually, defending by Byrne there. Good save from Popey as well. But Byrne really getting the block in there was vital. 69 minutes, Marquet heads over the bar. Palace are constantly coming at us here now, not the other way around. 78 is 3 minutes. Pope saves from Sarr again. 73 minutes again. Mateta blasted over from inside the box. Then this is the one we don't like talking about. 93 minutes. Marquet with a looping ball into the box. Muniz with a downward header, and he beats Pope at the near post. J7 switches off. I think he was actually celebrating a couple of seconds before that, so a throw or something like that. So he did kind of switch off. Not blaming anyone in particular, but there was no one marking Muniz, who was in acres of space, and to leap unopposed to grab the Palace a point. Pope looked like he was coming at one point, but then he kind of stepped back, but yeah, he was nowhere for the goal either. But final score is 1-1, as we got robbed on the death. But we did not deserve it. We didn't even deserve a point from this game, if you ask me. Palace were the better side. They're in 19th. They were in 19th position. They're 17th now. They were in 19th position. We should be beating Palace. Like, what are we doing? Okay, your thoughts on the goal, Pete, first, before we go to talk about anything else.
Absolutely criminal. Like, you're right, Dash. I can't disagree with you, and I don't want to disagree with you, actually. We did not deserve anything from that game. When you don't get one shot on target in the whole game, you don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to pick up anything from that game. So the fact then, aside from that we were 1 minute away from taking 3 points, and we concede that type of goal, it is absolutely criminal. It is the worst. Awful defending. Joe Linton not marking his man at the back post, not doing what he needed to do. He's effectively playing left wing back for a lot of that game because of Muniz. So why is he not looking around to see where he is? Because that's the whole reason he's there. He's there to stop him arriving at that back post, because that's what Munoz does, and he does it well, to be fair to him. But that's why he was there. So if he's in that position, he should be looking for him. One eye on him. Where is he? Where do I need to be? Not worrying about what's in front of him. That's Lewis Hall's job. Let him do his job. You do yours. And because he didn't, we got caught out. But I have to say, Nick Pope, it's absolutely dreadful goalkeeping. Dreadful goalkeeping. Again, down so slow. Looks like he doesn't even want to dive on that shoulder, because that's the shoulder that he did last time. You don't get beat at your near post like that. Timmy Chocolate wrists, lets it go through his hands into the bottom corner.
Where is he? Where is he now? Timmy Chocolate hands.
Timmy Chocolate wrists, honestly. To let that ball go in there, it's not a rocket. It's not a hugely powerful header. He saved probably harder shots than that throughout the game. You can see the ball coming over. Not good enough. Not good enough. Really, really poor. And you know why I'll say this? And people might disagree with me on this, because I actually think overall it was a decent defensive display from a lot of those boys at the back, from Tino, Hall, Shaw, and in particular Dan Burn, who I thought was excellent from a defensive point of view. I didn't think it was a bad display. Yeah, we conceded a few chances. We're away from home. You kind of expect that. But I thought we handled most things pretty well. Okay, it was the other end of the pitch I had a major issue with, and I'm sure we'll get onto that later on in the show. But so the fact that I thought, defensively as a unit, it was decent throughout that game, to concede that type of goal at the end is even more criminal off the back of that. And just when you think to yourself, hard fought, dogged, disgustingly poor game, but you're getting 3 points out of it, you kind of say, yeah, not great, awful performance, but you've dug something out of it. You dug a big 3 points out of it. You kind of take the points, you run away with them. It's then left with one. And it goes back to the point that you've mentioned. You go back to the point that other people in the chat have mentioned. So many people on social media have mentioned, like, regardless of whatever Palace's form going into that game, they were 19th in the table. They barely scored a goal this season. Like, they've looked shocking. I've watched a lot of their games. They've looked shocking. And to go there and to only pick up a point, considering how close we were to getting 3, that's the key. It's how close we were to getting 3. That's the frustrating thing about it all. And that's the biggest disappointment, because the games don't get any easier. And our next 2 are very, very difficult games. So that's where we are, mate.
It is where we are, Pete. I don't know, this blame across the board here for this performance, really. And we're going to get onto a few of them, because I see all the comments that a few of them have started in the chat as well.
Don't come in these chats now.
Chelsea are laughing,
Mr. Big Time. Right, I tell you what, right, Charlie, we need to have a word with Charlie on Top Table Talk this week, because I spoke to Charlie this morning, right? And he was talking about this game today, and I was like, "You're going to beat Villa. You're going to beat them. They're not playing well. You're better." And he was like, "Oh, Champions League, 6-pointer." Personally, I don't think Villa are going to get Champions League, my opinion. And then I'm like, next game. I said, "We got Liverpool." "Oh, that's a tough game." Charlie said, "Yeah, I know." "Who you got?" "Oh, Southampton away." I said, "Yeah, easy." He was like, "This is what he said to me. No game's easy in the Premier League." I'm like, get out of it.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
Yes. he's talking about finishing in the top 3 Champions League football, and he's saying that Southampton's going to be
in fairness, Chelsea are flying, and like it was always going to be a worry when they click into gear. But never mind Chelsea, we have to look after ourselves, and we can't look after ourselves. And some of the things that the lads were saying on Top Table Talk, it's starting to get my mind thinking about, to tell you the truth. But okay, I was just saying, yeah, there's, as a collective, across the board, the people, I thought Byrne and Tonali had a good game from what I saw, but overall, though, what are we at? The final third, it just is not working. It's just this start-stop all season is so frustrating. I know there's a number, and as I look at the table in front of me here as well, there's a number of teams who are in that boat as well, who are a bit stop-starty. No, I won't bring it up yet because we'll bring it up in a second. I'll probably crash the internet if I do, but as well. But like, oh, I don't know. And anyhow, and I see people are putting it in the comments. Some of the comments he was coming out with after into the game. Was he watching the same game? I know he has to put on a brave face and build them up for a game against. They don't need a building up for. They're playing at home under the lights against the champions. The champions elect is what they are. And if you can't get up for that game, what's the point in being a professional footballer? So. But yeah, I hope behind the scenes he is laying into some of them. But to tell you the truth, and I just want to see a performance now against Liverpool. I don't have much hope for a performance, but I want to see a performance. And personally, I'm thinking I'm changing my stance a bit. I want to see Eddie Howe show me what you can do in this month of December, or I'll be joining the dark side along with everyone else, because I'm getting frustrated with it now. I was very frustrated in another game that I missed due to stream, that Brighton game, but there's been a collective now, and it's getting to a stage as where's this going? We're going backwards. But the thing is, like, he has the ability to pull something out of the hat here, but pulling something out of the hat every so often is not good enough for where we want to be as well. It can't be that roller coaster every season after season. And can you see it getting, if he pulls it out of the hat and we go again up and down, and we go into the next season again and into the transfer window and potentially only wanting English players and having his say on things and holding on to Wilson for another season, who can't even fucking last 20 minutes for us. There's so many things that are frustrating at this point in time, and he needs to get through December and do something and get through that League Cup quarterfinal game as well. An awful lot pinning on that now.
Yeah, no, I think you've made some interesting points. I'm sure Eddie Howe will be a conversation that will continue on. I saw his interview with like Newcastle's account after the game. I'll be honest, it's the first time I've listened to Eddie Howe and said, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. And I've never said that with anything Eddie Howe said before. I might have disagreed with certain points that he's mentioned, but on the whole, I've always been like, yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. I didn't agree with the points that he made on Newcastle's account for his interview after the game. It came across like he was very, very overprotective of his players, which as a manager sometimes you need to be. But I'm sorry, after that type of performance, you can't protect your players after a performance like that. And look, this is not just all on Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe is significantly responsible for this, but some of the players, because I thought the players were absolutely atrocious, particularly the front players. They were really, really poor. However, to protect your players after that, you can't but not expect a negative reaction from the fans, because the fans aren't blind. Fans aren't blind, especially Newcastle United fans aren't blind, right? We watch and live and breathe everything Newcastle United. Every nook and cranny of Newcastle United news, we are on it somewhere, shape or form, because that's how we're programmed. So we're going to watch that game and we're going to analyze that game very carefully, and we're going to look at that game and think, yeah, that was an awful, dreadful performance. So to mock it up in any other way, you're just basically talking rubbish. And that's effectively what he was doing. He was overly protecting his players, and it came across as just not genuine at all. Now, I hope you're right, Daz. And you know what? Not I hope you're right, Daz. I expect that you're right in this. I expect that he's gave those players a massive dressing down in the changing rooms. But I expected him to have done that at West Ham, and we still got this performance after West Ham. I expected. I said to you boys on Thursday, we have to win. Why? It's because that performance against West Ham was so bad, particularly in the second half. I expected a reaction, and let's be honest, did we actually get a reaction? I don't think so. And so, you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, if he's dressed those boys down after Monday, and then they've turned up with that performance there now, like something's not right there. Something's not right, because I would have expected a proper reaction from those boys, and I didn't get it. I got the same sort of laboured attitude from the same sort of players, the same attempts to do the same moves over and over again, and it was just very much rinse and repeat. And if you're doing rinse and repeat, and we can notice it as fans, an opposition team that do their research on players and teams are going to pick that up straight away. And that's ultimately what Palace did. Palace knew the blueprint before the game and just played it out. The only thing they gave us was their own goal. Effectively, that's all they gave us in the game. We didn't do it. We didn't put anything on them. So yeah, you know, I agree with your assessment with Eddie Howe in terms of the interview. I'm not necessarily Eddie Howe out myself. I'm not, but what I am allowed to do, and I think we're all allowed to do that, we need to make this absolutely clear here. Okay, this is not about, oh, you're either Eddie in or you're Eddie out. This is not what this is about here. What we are as a channel, and we have been, we will give you an assessment of what we think the Newcastle United performance is overall, of the players individually and of the manager. And so if I say I don't agree with Eddie Howe and I thought what he did wasn't great in that game, or a certain player didn't do something and wasn't good, doesn't mean that I hate that player and I want them out and I want this, that, and the other. No, all we're doing is giving an assessment of what we think based on what we've watched. And we just need to make that absolutely clear, because there's a lot on social media that are just jumping at everything that people say. If we say anything negative, oh, you want Eddie out, you've forgotten where we were 3 years ago. No, I haven't forgotten.
But that's the past. This is the now. That was last season. The credit in the bank was for last season. The credit in the bank is gone now. And sorry to put in Pete. Why I say the month of December, I'm still Eddie in as well, but that could change for me before the start of the new year and in a transfer window, because Liverpool, I'm just praying for that one, that we get something from it. Give me a draw now, I take it. Even though we're at home and we should be going out to win it, but I take a draw. As where we are and where how they're performing. Hopefully, and even tied into our spoiler alert away days. I try to do a bit of mind games, calling them champions. I want them to come and feel comfortable at St. James' Park, and hopefully we can get something from that game. But
honestly, Daz, this is the absolute frustrating thing about Newcastle United, is because I am so confident that Newcastle United are going to turn up and give a performance on Wednesday night. I genuinely am, and this is better. I'll go into details of why I think this, but I am so confident that Newcastle United are going to put in performance. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not saying they're going to take points, but we are going to see a significantly different performance on Wednesday night, and there's a clear reason for this, and we'll talk about later on in the show. But I just wanted to point that out.
Well, sorry, let's play this out. Play Chris's devil's advocate. Shout out to Chris as well. But let's say we do get a result against Liverpool. Let's say we finally, Eddie Howe gets a win against Liverpool. Everyone's happy. Everyone, no, I told you, Eddie Howe win, and blah blah blah. But then we go to Brentford away. It's a game that we need to get a result in as well. Doing Leicester at home, again, we have to win. We have to win. It's the way they're playing. I know that the new manager bounced with Why the Long Face Van Nistelrooy in there, but like it's one we should be winning. Then again, a must-win game in the cup, home against Brentford in the cup. After that, 21st of December, Ipswich away. Again, we need to win. These are, Eddie. It's all lined up for you to go and put a string of results together. Villa at home on Boxing Day, Stephen's Day in Ireland. And Villa are in the exact same kind of positions as us, but they have a bit of an excuse because they're playing European football and Champions League, what we had last year. And then Man United on the 30th of December. These are your games, Eddie Howe, to turn it around. And that's why I'm saying I'm not saying he has to win all these games. I'm not saying, but I want to see something more than we've been seeing in the last few games, and to prove to me that you deserve to stay till the end of the season, and then take another assessment. But that's where I am now at this stage.
The thing about it is, Daz, I think Eddie Howe will be under the microscope up until the new year. I think it's January the 3rd or 4th. I think it is that we play Tottenham away. So going up into that new year. We talked about this openly, that there's a run of games there where we should be aiming to get a significant number of points from. We're already 2 games into that, Daz. West Ham and Palace. And how many points we picked up? We picked up 1. And we're openly saying on here, and people in the chat are openly saying, and we apologize if we can't keep up with all the comments and all the rest of it. I will endeavor to do so. But we're at the point now where, like, we got 1 point from that. And we're saying that we didn't even deserve it. And then we've got the champions-elect coming to St. James's Park, who have got an excellent record here on Wednesday night. So we're looking at potentially another defeat. And then I thought for some reason I had it in my mind that next Saturday we had Leicester, but we don't. We have Brentford away. Brentford have been excellent at their ground this season, and we've got a good record there. But they've been excellent at there, and they are ahead of us. And rightly so, they've played some excellent football this season. So then you're looking at the week after that. Is it December the 13th or 14th, something like that? We have Leicester at home. It goes back to the same problem. And it's the same problem over and over again, is that we're looking at teams that are down there and thinking, yeah, easy, 3 points, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. The amount of teams that we've played that are down there this season, and we've gone, 3-0. Yeah, 4-0 at home. Yeah, 5-0, 6-0, like we did with West Ham, like we did with Everton, like we did with other teams that were played against this season that are further down in the league. We said the same, that we were going to beat Brighton comfortably, who are actually up there, well ahead of us. And it's like, I'm now thinking, can we beat Leicester? And the reason why I say that is because Leicester will come to Newcastle United and they'll play a low block. And we've already proven many a time this season we can't break a low block and or consistently break a low block. And then it throws me a question like, are we going to struggle against Leicester? Really? And then you throw in the Ruud van Nistelrooy factoring. It makes it a game where it gets thrown up in the air. So then you're looking at those next 3 games and you're thinking, I don't know what Newcastle United, first off, I don't know what Newcastle United I'm going to get. Secondly, I don't know whether we're going to be able to break down a low block. And thirdly, if we lose all 3 of those games, where are we going to be in the league? Like, I'm talking about the league table here, because you're looking at West Ham, who are still 4 points adrift, even though they're beaters, because they're absolutely shocking. Like, they're in a position right now where I think they're like 14th or whatever, but it wouldn't take them long to overturn that.
No, we were laughing at West Ham. Now, how the tables have turned.
So wild one.
Man United are ahead of us, even. Jesus.
Man United ahead today, 4-0, comfortable win against Everton. Everton looked absolutely diabolical. They had little moments where they were sitting in, trying to defend deep. But when you're organised and you've got players that can break the lines and create opportunities, you play for a low block. And that's exactly what Man United did. And they used their pace and their creativity to the effect. And actually, at times, they use their counter-attacking ability to benefit them, because they're a counter-attacking team. And they made it look absolute light work against Everton. Everton were shocking, and they are shocking. But other teams are making it more comfortable than us. And that's a massive concern. It really is. But I didn't know where you wanted to go next, Az, with it.
Go wherever you like.
Well,
Bring me 3 points against Liverpool. I'd be happy there.
I'm just going to throw some questions up here because it might spark up, and it probably will spark up other conversations. The Dutch Mag, great to have you with us. Has Eddie lost the dressing room? In your opinion, has Eddie lost the dressing room? Because we're looking at this squad of players, and this squad of players are not clicking right now. So where are you with what Dutch Mag has just said?
I think I'll be able to answer that question on the 26th of December, the home game against Villa, and we'll have played Ipswich, Brentford in both the Cup and in the League, Leicester and the Liverpool game. I think I'll be able to answer it then. It's there's question marks there, but I wouldn't go as far as that yet. I still think he can get something out of them, but if he doesn't, I'm not waiting to the end of the season anymore. I want to see something in this month of December.
Yeah, I don't think he's lost the dressing room. I think certain players' attitudes have changed, in my opinion. I'm not going to go into details of who they are. People watching can make their own conclusions on that. I think certain players' attitudes towards match days, towards maybe even Newcastle United, have changed. I genuinely think that.
Yeah. I have a question on that. It's not a question of who. It's a. Do you think that the promises or the vision that was given to bigger name players to when they join Newcastle, they can see that we're not going to be able to get there as quick as we all thought that they would be able to get, where PSR issues and everything else, the Premier League, the Red Six putting blockers in our way that this generation of players won't be able to get where we need to go to.
I think there may be a small part of that. I don't think that's a huge part of it, because I think we knew the restrictions by November 2021. I think we were aware of that. I think maybe some of the newer players that have come in maybe have seen the progress of the team and maybe jumped on board with that, thinking we were gonna get there. However, what I will say is that I think maybe certain promises haven't come to fruition, and I think that this is not just from me. You know, I can't remember who wrote the piece, but someone wrote a piece around certain players expecting. I think he even named them. I think he even named Isak and Trippier as two players in particular that were promised better facilities at the training ground, and they haven't come to fruition. And people and players are frustrated that those things haven't been improved significantly since their promises were kind of like were given. And I can't remember who wrote that piece, but somebody wrote that, and it's.
I saw that as well, Pete. But they've done a lot with the existing training ground. It's not a hell of a lot better than it was. So,
still doesn't make it good enough, Daz. Still doesn't make it good enough. Like it's a hell of a lot better. Granted, they've spent tens of millions on the training ground, but you know, when you look around us and you're looking at teams like Brighton and Villa to a point of view, and you're looking at Tottenham, and you look at the teams that we're up against, bearing in mind the teams that we're competing with, you throw West Ham in there, even though they're down there at the moment, Man United, even though their stadiums fall into pieces, the training grounds and all the rest of it, they're all punching way above us in terms of level of quality. And when you're a top player aspiring to be the very best, you want the very, very best facilities, not something makeshift. And I'm not saying that's the only reason. This is just one small piece of it. I do think the summer. I do think I'll put it in here. I do think the summer and the beginning of this season has maybe thrown players, because in the summer that we were told, and we spoke about this in the summer, Dad, when we were told in the summer that we were going to have a transformative summer window by Darren Eales, and then we got what we got off the back of that. Not only did it throw us, it must have thrown the players. The players would have been told. And look, I'm only talking from my own opinion here, but I I would be surprised if this hadn't been said to the players by the management team that, last season, played Champions League, we had a horrendous amount of injuries, which everybody knew about, but yet we only just missed out on Europe. Like, that's a one-off. That doesn't happen every year. We're getting our players back. We're going to invest in the team. We're going to be bigger and better next season. Sandro Tonali's back, blah, 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 blah. I would have expected that conversation to have happened to the squad before they went on their summer holidays. So the squad are going, yeah, we're going to bring some players in. We're going to make a push. 1 game a week. We're going to give it a real go. And then we get the Mock Gay situation where it doesn't go anywhere. And we end up the summer with no first team ready player coming in. And the only money invested is Hall, who we already knew was going to sign for us permanently anyway. And then we start the season the way we do. The way we start the season, yeah, picking up points, granted, but then the drop-off after that, I'm not surprised that players are going, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Now, I personally don't think that every player is like that, but I think there's 1 or 2 in that squad that have responded like that. I genuinely think that.
Wow. So some of them have turned into dickheads. Maybe a session in the wheelie bins will sort them out. That's what Eddie Howe should be doing between now and the Wednesday game. But okay, let's go to the next question, Pete.
Well, how long you got?
This therapy sessions aren't working, are they?
Yeah, I'm just going to throw some questions up as and when I see them. Evening, lads. Do you think PIF will be privately having discussions about Eddie Howe moving on? And if so, do you think that it will restrict our January budget? You've already mentioned about the Eddie Howe and your perspective on things with regards to that, Daz. But do you think what's going on right now will change the budget either for the better for us, more money available, or less? Like, how do you think what we're going through right now is going to change anything in terms of what we're going to do in January?
No, and it's not going to affect the budget, whatever budget we're allowed to spend of our own money that we're allowed to spend. But for me, I said this before as well, this transfer window is a Paul Mitchell transfer window. This is the first one. He said before that he shouldn't have joined in the middle of a window, let's say, or before as it has started. He's got his feet under the table now. He has to get sign off from the Eddie Howe or whatever manager is there for the signings, as in like the final say. But this to me is players bringing in players that for the now and the future is what he needs to be doing in January. So it's not going to affect the budget. And the top one, do you think PIF? I think they have to be looking at things and not being happy. They want to, but they'll also take into consideration the credit in the bank. But for that credit in the bank is running out on Eddie Howe's side.
I've said it to you before. I say it again. 2 players minimum January, and I'm not talking fringe play. I'm not talking Will Asula type signings where you're signing a player for the future, apparently, but you can't throw him on the pitch when Alexander Isak comes off injured. It's still, I still don't get it. I don't understand it. But regardless, 2 first team ready players, 2 players that are going to come in and make the difference, have to come in January. If we don't, we are neglecting this team. It's as simple as that. These boys need fresh faces. The manager needs new players, quality players to work with to improve the overall output of this team. Every team needs fresh faces, needs new impetus. When you don't do that, and we haven't done it for 2 windows, you go stale. And this is what we're seeing from Newcastle United at the moment. We're seeing a stale team. Actually, it isn't going stale, it's declining. We are declining as a team. And this is a big issue that needs to be corrected. So if we neglect January because we want to save our money for the summer, no. Go get your players now to impact this season, because this is the most important. So that's where I am with that. So many good questions.
Sorry, Peter, because this season is totally still salvage because like we're still in the League Cup. We're still like we are only we're 3 points off sixth place and 4 points off fourth place in the league. So it's still all bunch, but it's just we have so many opportunities to go second, to get in the top four. We're always just if we win this match, we're here. If we win this match, we're here. If we won 2 games in a row, we'll be top of the league. It's exaggerating a bit, but we're just like it's just so frustrating that and we get there, we get to the plate, and we just cannot eat our dinner, I suppose.
Okay. I'll just read you out something. Because I sent the link to the boys, the Midlands Mags chat, to say that we're alive, and we were having a chat about this earlier, and I put something in the chat that I think is quite important, and you're talking about improvement in performance and improvement in player performance, and there's one thing I'm trying to find it right now. One thing I'll add to that is what Big Kev said. Only 2 shots in 180 minutes of football. That is relegation form and very worrying. And it's absolutely right. It is extremely worrying. But the one thing I'll say is this. The one thing I put in the chat to the lads earlier. Fulham, we could have gone top with a win. Everton, we could have gone 4th with a win. Brighton, we could have gone 4th with a win. West Ham, we could have gone 6th with a win, and Palace, we could have gone 6th with a win. We bottled them all.
Yeah,
that's the big problem here. Is that there is something of a mentality issue with this team, and a lot of us have said it. Emeka said it in that chat earlier on today. A lot of us have said it in our conversations previously. When you've had that many opportunities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opportunities to be going into the top 6 and really kind of inserting yourself in that conversation. We've had 5, 6 opportunities to do that this season, and we've thrown them all away. There's a mentality issue there. That should motivate you as a player, not throw you. That's a huge concern to me, because we were in same situations 22, 23, and we backed ourselves and we got the job done pretty much on every single occasion. And now, with arguably a better squad, in fact, not arguably, we have a better squad. There is no doubt about it. This squad of players is better than what we had when we finished 4th. Options in the first 11, options off the bench, which is what we were screaming for. Old players moved on. There is no reason why we can't be turning this around. There is a mentality issue in this team. And as you just said, Daz, you want us to be up there. You want us to be kicking back into form. But those 5 results that I've just shown you, and the performance in particular of yesterday, give me no reason to believe that our fortunes are going to change anytime soon.
And linking to what Big Kev has said there, and Eddie Howe was asked the question on the scoring problems. He goes, "It is difficult to answer because we haven't changed our attacking philosophy in any way. My teams, in his previous role as well, Bournemouth, my teams have always played on the front foot in attack, but today it was a strange performance." Well, in 2 shots in 180 minutes of football is not playing on the front foot. I could go on, but it's Liverpool, bring on Liverpool.
Yeah, this is it. And Peter's talked about Liverpool coming at us at home is our kind of game. This is why I think we're going to have a good game. It's because Liverpool are going to come to win. They're bouncing right now. They're going to bounce into this game, and they're going to go, we're going to attack Newcastle, and we're going to put them to the sword. And what we're going to find is opportunities in and behind. And when we've had those opportunities against Liverpool in previous seasons, we have punished them on occasions. And so we know we can trouble them at St. James's Park. And this is why I think we're going to see a different performance. These performances against the top teams are not a concern to me, because we go at teams and we catch them on the counter. The problem is when we have to break down a team, when we have to use our guile, our nuance, our levels of creativity and quality to break through the lines in short, sharp spaces. We're not capable of doing it. And that brings us to kind of a bit of a wider problem. Look, Chris, I hope I'm right too. But with the three of us have already spoken about this before. Counter-attacking football against the top teams, we always play better. And even if we go and beat Liverpool on Wednesday, it doesn't fix the problems. All it tells us is that we can only play against teams that we can hit on the counter, and that's a huge.
That's a joke, though, because we said we were asked the question the other day in Top Table Talk, and I said I thought we have a good enough squad to be in the top 5. If there's 15 teams below us there, and they're going to come and an awful lot of them, at least 10 of them, are going to come and park the bus and the low block. We need a plan B. Again, know that when we know that that's what they're going to do, we need a different option to be working on that option in pre-season, in training all week leading up to that game, to go at that particular game, then switch back to our old style of play when we come to the top teams. Let's say that the teams in around or above us play that kind of football. That we need plan B, and it's something that's been going on about, talked about. Whereas Eddie Howe's had a plan B for a long time as well.
Sorry, Lisa, I need your boys relegated this season. I need them relegated. They are absolutely dire. Yeah. But I'll make it up to you when we're in Newcastle. I'll buy you a drink. So, yeah.
If they're relegated by then.
If they're relegated, Lisa, I'll buy you as many drinks as you want.
Free bar.
That's the deal. We'll see. But like, there's lots of different questions on here. I could go all day. Sick of the 4-3-3. Can't control the midfield and not good enough to break down a low block. It's lose. Is there a formation that you would do anything different, Daz, right now?
Well, we know 4-4-2 didn't work. We tried to play it. And we said before, I think who was, I can't remember who it was against. We suggested a 5 in the back with the wing backs, Tino and Hall. But first for up against a low block, do we have to play kind of that 4-2-3-1, and it's something that Wolfies said of us as well, and it's something the Forest play, that where we'd have Bruno and Tonali sitting deep. We'd have kind of Isak and Wilson maybe on the pitch, and to try and go at the opposition. We do need to try something, or if it's not, a 4-3-3 isn't working in game, to switch it, and something that we can fluidly switch, and we're not all scratching our heads and going, what are we playing now? Where am I playing? There's a bit of that as well. Well, it was in that where we went 4-4-2 against West Ham.
Yeah, DB mentions it as well. We need to try a double pivot with Bruno and Tonali in the middle. A 4-2-3-1, just something a bit different. Boys in the Mags Midlands chat said exactly the same. Like, would you be against playing with a number 10? No, it was suggested.
I would be against us buying a number 10 either. I'd love to say they're the kind of players I love to watch play.
If we were to bring in, I'll just throw it up here now. So this is effectively the team that was played on Saturday, but just changing that slightly and just bringing these two in here as the double pivot, and then Willock or somebody of the like, we could change that. So I think what we suggested the other night was potentially doing this, is having Isak there and Wilson at top. You've got the 3 here across the line, and then you've got the main striker playing further forward. But you've got that number 10 creative spot that can play the lines. And it was suggested in our chat possibly an Eze type playing in that little role, because we know he can play that role really well. Not exactly him, because people like him, some people don't. But that type of player to play in that role and then playing your main striker in there, would you be against that type of formation, Dad?
Oh, not at all. And it'd be interesting to see how it works out as well, and not just give it one game or a part of a game. I want give it a good chance to see how it pans out. Now, we haven't had the option to be able to do that because we haven't had Wilson either, and Asula doesn't get a game time. But this is getting a right winger that could potentially play in that number kind of a 10 role as well. Would be very interesting if we're going to blow all our cash on the right winger or the majority of our cash in January on that. That's what I'd like to see. Someone that can play maybe in a few positions, but predominantly a right winger, but we could switch it up because having Isak and someone behind him as well would work. This new player.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different opportunities to play that. And we need, and the thing about it is that we need it because the way we're playing right now doesn't work. And just whilst it's up, I'll just explain to you. And look, you'll probably see some similarities because I think we're all seeing this from Newcastle United, and it winds me up. So we have possession. It doesn't matter whether we're 2-0 down, 1-0 down, 0-0, whatever the score. This is how we play. And we normally start with Pope. Pope will neither play it into Shaw or Burn. But let's say he plays it into Burn for this example. Burn will come left and he'll play it into Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall will have the ball and he's got the guile and creativity to break the lines here because they're playing with the right wing back. And he'll pop the ball into either Willock or Joe Linton. One way or another, it gets into the winger. And then the winger gets the ball and tries to move forward. If there's not a direct line to cut inside or to go, they'll play it back to Willock, and they'll play it back to Hall, and they'll play it back to Burn. Then they'll play it back to Shaw. Then they'll play it back to Tino, and Tino might play it inside to the inside right, or play it to Gordon. Gordon will run, what he normally does, and then he'll cut back in, and he'll play it back down the line again. And it's mind-numbingly boring football. It drives.
Can I give you a quote here, Pete?
Go for it.
My teams have always played on the front foot in attack.
If that's front foot, then I'm sorry. I'm watching different football. I'm not watching the same game. I must be watching it in an alternative universe. I swear, because I'm seeing this week in, week out, and it drives me absolutely mad. It drives me mad. And I'm sorry, the one I feel sorry for the most is this man here. I feel so sorry for whoever plays in that position. And it's normally Alexander Isak. Because how the hell is he meant to make a run into the box, run short, run long, hold back as the centre-backs come in to receive it on the edge of the area? How is he meant to do any of that if he knows that ball is not guaranteed even 80-90% to be put into the box there? It is crazy. And it's so mind-numbingly boring. And it happens all the time. Now, I'm not, it's okay having possession. We have lots of possession in games. And we have 50-60% possession. And fans at the time are going, possession's up, we're keeping possession. We're doing absolutely nothing with it. Nothing whatsoever. We are doing nothing with the ball. It's the same. And you know what? Gordon's the worst. And this is why I say I don't want him on that left-hand side because he's not giving me anything. At least on occasion, Joe Linton will get the ball on that left-hand side and he'll drive down this line. And he'll drive and he'll force the centre-back or the full-back into that position. And he'll try and whip a ball into the box. Or he'll cut back for someone to arrive on the edge of the box. He would do that on occasion. With Anthony Gordon on that side, if we were to swap these boys over, he cuts in, he comes in, he'll try and cut inside. If it's not on, he'll play the ball back to Willock, or at this point, Hall will be there. Hall will be there, and he'll play it back, and he'll come back into position here. I'm sorry, this is not front foot football. This is not what Newcastle United want, right? This is not what the fans want. We need players to be breaking the lines. We need Gordon, if he's going to be playing down here, running at players with his electric pace that he's got and committing players. He should be asking the question to Chalobah, if he's on this left-hand side, or any fullback or centre-back, depending on formation, can I get into the box? Once I get into the box, can I beat the man? Where he's going to have to either commit to tackle me or put a brilliant tackle in and win the ball. And if he doesn't, I'm winning as a penalty. Can he commit that player into that position like he had done last season? Because he ain't doing it at the moment. I need to see that more from Joe Linton as well. I have to be honest. One thing I'll say is when this man came on, right, and Gordon went in there and Isak went off the pitch, I saw that from him. I only saw it for about 10 minutes. But when he came on, he got the ball, he took on his man 2 or 3 times, Mott Gay mostly, or Mitchell, and he whipped that ball into the box. And you know what? He whipped it in, and there were some 2 or 3 really good deliveries that startled the Crystal Palace lot. Nowhere to be seen. Hanging back. No run here, no run here. Why? And I don't blame him. He's not a striker, Daz. Anthony Gordon is not a striker, which then begs an even bigger question. If Wilson, quite rightly, and we need to keep an eye on him, he's only just come back to fitness. If he can't play, why didn't he come on? He's a striker. Why didn't he come on? Big physical guy, 6'3", 6'4". Why didn't he come on to try and run the lines and run into the box?
He deserves a shot.
You know what? And this is the thing. At the time, I understood he's young, he's learning his trade, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. We cannot keep persisting with Anthony Gordon as the makeshift striker. He's not a striker. He isn't a striker. He doesn't make intelligent moves. He doesn't make moves in the box. Half of the time, when the ball comes into the box, he's nowhere to be seen. He's finding himself on the edge of the box. Anthony Gordon is completely out of the way. He's nowhere to be seen. He should be making runs all over the place. And if he can't do it, he shouldn't be on the pitch. Will Asula would have done no different, if anything better, had you given him the opportunity. And he hasn't had the opportunity to play it. Oh, obviously, Callum Wilson would come on and be the guy when Isak's off. And he would have been more likely to make those runs. But he's building himself back into fitness. So we've got to be semi-patient with him. But you know what? It frustrated the hell out of me that we're not being direct. Where are these balls that Bruno used to play between the lines and players running onto them beforehand? Why is Willock not driving forward and making the connectives in there? You know, Sandro Tonali, we'll talk about, I'm sure, at some point, was brilliant in what he did in the game. But we are so predictable, side to side, backwards passing across the lines, in or straight across. Nothing on. Don't want to take on a man? Let's go back and start all over again, all the way back. And it's just the same all the time. And everything's played in here. We might have 60-70% possession. That's great. But you don't win matches for possession. It's about getting the ball into the box and putting it in the net. And it's so goddamn frustrating. So frustrating.
And I think I remember saying it last year as well. We became predictable as well at one point with Trips and Miggy down the right hand side. But where's the plan B? Where's our just switching it up? A big month ahead for Eddie Howe.
Honestly, mate, you're absolutely right. It's a massive month ahead for Newcastle United as a whole. It really is. As a whole, we have to put wins on the board because we cannot go on doing this. We really can't. And Justice Served has put a super chat in. Thank you for your super chat, mate. We have too much possession in games. My view is get rid of it and counter. Yeah, exactly what we're saying. Our identity is counter-attacking football. It is. And look, we know it does. Bringing Sandro Tonali in and certain other players in, we're trying to change the way in which we play. But if we can't significantly invest to really revamp this to make us a possession-based side and bring in the quality of player that can make us possession-based, then we need to go back to what works, in my opinion.
So in that counter-attacking football philosophy there, is that just fucking go for it. And if you lose the ball, try and take a shot. Try and whip the ball in, take a shot. something may come of it sometimes. Other times it's back at you again, and you're waiting to hit the counter again. So that rather than this possession base that's against a low block and not getting anywhere, back and over.
What I will say, ultimately, what it is inviting teams onto us. So where we would be is, I'm not saying we'd be low block as such, because under Eddie Howe we haven't been low block. We've almost been sort of like a mid block, sort of more up here. But what we do, we invite teams onto us. So we see teams pushing players into these areas up here, really tight up. And we're in this area here. So I move all these players up. This is what we would expect, to push these players up. And what we instantly get when we give opposition the ball and we give them the opportunity in the space here to try and break us down, what we then get is everything in this area here. Everything here. And we know we've got Gordon's pace, Joe Linton's pace.
Power.
I'll go with Isaac for now, but Isaac, they can all get into these areas at breakneck speed. Joe Willock into these areas too. We know we can get Hall up. We know we can get Livramento up. And we know we can get 3, 4, 5 players into the opposition box in 5 or 6 seconds to really create problems the other way. And the key is we've got space in and behind. So if we're playing that way, we know that Lewis Hall has the ability to find a ball down the line of quality for someone like Joe Linton to come on to. We know that we've got Sandro Tonali that can play the ball into these little spaces here that Isaac can run onto and get on the end of. We know, and we've seen it so many times, if Isaac makes a run into that area, Bruno can find him. We also know exactly the same, that Tino trips, particularly Fabian Schär. We've seen this before. Joe Linton makes that run, Schär plays it across. We know that we've got that space in and behind to do that. But if we allow teams to sit deep, that it renders Schär ineffective because he can't play that ball in and behind. So he's having to play balls inside. And someone mentioned before, I don't know if it was tonight or on a comment on social media, that Schär's passing hasn't been as good recently. And that's because he's not being able to play these balls long. He's having to play them inside. And when you play them inside and you've got that many men in there, it's getting cut out, or it's getting blocked, or it's getting stopped. So it's not finding its person. So you're rendering him ineffective in that position. You know, you want space in and behind. Gordon, Isaac, Joe Linton, Barnes. Barnes is a counter-attacking player. He loves making runs in and behind here. It's where he scores most of his goals from. So we need to change it up. We need to invite, and I keep saying it, we need to invite players onto us. We need to give them possession, and we need to hit them on the break. It's what we got Champions League football doing. It's exactly what we got Champions League football doing, playing counter-attacking football. It works.
Where do we go from here?
It's a great question. It's a great question, Daz. I don't have the answers to those questions. I'll be honest with you. I've said it before after West Ham, and I'll say it again. I genuinely do not know what to expect from Newcastle United from game to game. I'm expecting, in my own opinion, I could be wrong, that Newcastle are going to play better because we're going to get space to do exactly what was just what we saw on the tactics board, space in behind play. But going up against Brentford, going up against Leicester, I have no idea what to expect. I don't know what type of performance we're going to get. So in terms of where we're going to go from here, we need wins. We need wins, and we need them quickly. How we're going to get them, I don't know. I don't know.
Now, we're talking here, we're having a pop at Eddie Howe, which every Newcastle fan is allowed to do. The same way they're allowed to praise him when he does really well. But the players as well, we're having a pop at a number of them as well for the performances, the last 2 games especially. But But even I recommend people as well to listen to the Geordie Journo's video that came out today, and some of the comments from Eddie Howe after the game as well. It sounded like he didn't know what to do, and hopefully behind the scenes, or it could be a case that he's just kind of shell shocked in some fashion. But hopefully he has some answers up his sleeve in the next the coming few games. We'll take a few more questions or comments, Pete.
Yeah. It's definitely concerning, the fact that he says that we're playing the same, but he doesn't know why it's any different. That is a big concern, and it should worry those fans that he's openly saying that. But lots of different questions. Some of these, Johnny Greenwood, great to have you in the chat as ever. Keller is available at the end of the season. We will be crazy not to go for him. Year on a contract, 20 to 25 million. Keeper for the next 10 years. I know you've talked about it before, Daz.
Yeah, no, I did. I put. I think it was during the summer I said it, because at the time he was playing for Liverpool, and when Alisson was coming back, he was going to be out of the team again. This is last summer, I think. I was talking about this, and I thought he is a good keeper, and so he's young-ish as well, and he'd be someone that could go toe to toe with Nick Pope and take over from Nick Pope as well. But yeah, I'd still go for him. I'd still look at other options. We're all in on Marmashvili, but and actually Marmashvili is at Liverpool as well, or will be coming to Liverpool. So Alisson will probably be off. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not thinking about the summer though yet.
Kelleher won't stay on the bench, mate.
No.
Having been exposed to football, no, you're absolutely right. He shouldn't. When you mentioned Kelleher before, and we're going back 7-8 months now, probably even longer. When you mentioned Kelleher, I personally only seen him in odd cup games here and there. I personally didn't rate him. I didn't think he was a player that could come in and command that first team berth at that point. But having seen him in the run that he's been on with Liverpool, and Liverpool have conceded chances, he's made some brilliant saves. Like, he's made some big saves, brilliant saves, penalties. Like, he does seem like he is capable of being that first choice goalkeeper. I wasn't with you guys a year, 18 months ago when you talked about Nick Pope being transitioned out, but I'm there now. I'm there. I do think there's a lot of big changes that need to happen in Newcastle United. I do think a new goalkeeper comes in. If you've got a goalkeeper that's not comfortable diving on certain shoulders to make saves, that's a big red flag for me. A big red flag. It's crazy.
That's a red flag in Sunday League matches. Never mind Premier League matches.
Exactly. It's a great question from Johnny. Sniffer, to be fair, Sniffer's put some really big comments in. Sniffer is very much Eddie Howe out from his comments today. He, in his words, it's done. He's put numerous times in our chat tonight. But he says, and this was based on the Sandro Tonali chat, which we haven't yet talked about. So I want to get your thoughts on Sandro Tonali, on his performance.
But before we as well, make sure you smash that like button. I see Chris preaching about smashing the like button as well. But just helps the channel, even in these dark days.
Definitely got nearly 200 in the chat, so if we can get 200 likes for this, it just means more people can see the content. The algorithms go to the top, and it means that people see more of Loaded Mag and NUFC. Thank you for all your support so far. But just answering that question, that firstly, Sandro Tonali's performance against Palace in the number 6 role, what was your thoughts on that? And Sniffer just says, based on what we were saying about Sandro, just leave son, get as far away as this mug as possible. Are you in agreement?
No, Sandro stay and keep him in the CDM role, like we suggested. I only saw extended highlights and listened to the game, but it was good things that were being said about him in that role. So I want to see him play there again. Could he or would he change it up? I don't think he would for the Liverpool game. Could he go to that 4-2-3-1? I don't think so.
He could. There's no reason why it can't happen.
But would he?
Will it? No, it won't. It won't happen.
No,
it won't. If he's going to do it, he's probably going to do it against lesser opposition. So depending on the draw, and I think the draw might be tomorrow actually for the FA Cup, or it comes up soon. The FA Cup third round draw is soon. It might actually be tomorrow. So if we get a favourable draw at St James's Park, for example, I would imagine a formation change, if that was in the offing, would probably happen then, and not necessarily before. But yeah, I mean, look, I watched the game. I know, because I've watched part of the Georgia Journo's reaction. I've not listened to it all, but I know that Liam was very much, and me and Liam have had a back and forth on Sandro Tonali. So Liam thought he did okay. He wasn't great.
I didn't hear that one. It was the one I saw was the one that came out today. Maybe you saw the live reaction one.
No, it was outside of Sellers Park.
Okay, it's the same one. So
I don't remember. He referred to Sandro just playing just okay. I thought Sandro Tonali was brilliant. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch. And it's really important to remember that in a number 6 position, you're not gonna always be front and center of everybody's mindset, because your role is very much for the team in terms of what you do. And Sandro Tonali isn't a Bruno. You're not going to see him, hold on to the ball and win free kicks all the time and try and break the lines. He's not that type of player. What he does, he's a connector. And I had this conversation with Liam actually outside St James's just before Liam and Jordan, just before the Arsenal game. And I said, it all depends. Your opinion on Sandro Tonali would all depend on what you expect him to do. Now, watching Sandro Tonali at AC Milan, like, he's a connector. He's not a goals and assists midfielder. He's a connector. What he does, he likes to connect the play to make the formation and the style of play work. So what he does in that number 6 is what we've been missing, that Bruno Guimaraes doesn't necessarily give us. And it all depends on what type of number 6 you want. So Sandro Tonali, one-touch passing, keeps the ball moving, keeps it connecting in that midfield and keeps it flowing. That's the type of player he is. Makes it look easy. He's a protector of certainly the centre-back pairing. The amount of recovery work he made to get back into position, to protect his lines, to ensure nothing came down those lines. Like, you look at Eze, for example. Eze is one of their main players. Eze destroyed us last season at Sellers Park when they won 2-0. Why? It's because he used and exploited that number 10 position. So did Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne last season. And so did many others that played with the number 10 position. Sandro Tonali, his game doesn't allow for a number 10 to influence the game. And what was a big surprise to me is that Eze was a non-factor in that game for 60 minutes before he got taken off. That was because of Sandro Tonali. His positioning in play, very close to the play. Every time the number 10 got the ball, he was there. He didn't allow him to have time and space to turn on the ball and make things happen. And he closed down the spaces and made it difficult. That's what a more defensive-minded number 6 player does. He breaks it up. You're going to, unless you're looking for it, you're not going to see it. And it's not going to be something that wins you the game in terms of a winning goal or an assist. But what it is, it's crucial to your team connecting together.
It's a dirty work.
Exactly. And it worked. And he was so good at it. And he made it look effortless. And it actually helped us for long parts in that game actually look like we weren't going to concede a goal. We're always going to concede chances. Every team does. And the Munaz chance in the first half, it was a counter-attack from a corner. So that's where we were all out of joint in that position. But in game, he played that position so well. And it's what we've been crying out for, because we've got Bruno that gets on the board in the number 6 and he in possession and he makes the connectives with the ball and all the rest of it. But going the other way, as soon as the other opposition wins the ball, that's when we're in trouble. Well, yesterday it was the other way round. We weren't in trouble when they went the other way in terms of those counter-attackings, because he closed off the lines so many times. He was crucial, and I thought he was really, really good. But I'm worried about this. I'm genuinely worried about this. This is why I said he has to play every single game now. Because I'm worried he gets to the end of the season and goes, I'm better than this. I can maybe go back to AC Milan or go for another team and play Champions League football, and goes, I want out.
There could be a few like that, Pete, to be honest, and there could be a few that we'll consider selling as well, because we are deadlocked, and we're going to need to unlock things some way in terms of PSR as we move into anchoring, and who knows what manager we have there as well by that time.
Yeah, this is it. It just throws up so many questions that I don't know if we have the answers to, or we'll ever have the answers to. So it's a huge concern, a big concern. Northern Golfer says, I can't see any European football from this season. We can't score goals. I can't believe a Newcastle side can't score goals. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think European football is out the question, or you think there's still a chance, Daz?
This is the dark side I spoke about earlier. Not Sunderland, as Johnny Greenwood pointed in the chat. I'm not talking about Sunderland. I'm not talking about Eddie out, but look, it's still all to play for, though. It really is. With the table the way we are so lucky, it's in some ways that it's so bunched, because we should be like 10 points behind 6th spot or something like that, but we're only 3 and 4 behind 4th spot. So it's still all to play for us, but it's just as you pointed out earlier, Pete, it's every time we get within a shooting range, we can't. We fail. We fluff our lines and we fail to shoot. It's another reason why shoot is in the poster for this show. Take a shot. Take your chances. Go for it.
You know what's interesting about our previous conversations about Sandro Tonali? When Nick Pope was asked in an interview who's got the hardest shot, he said Sandro Tonali.
He did, yeah. I remember that.
I honestly, there was parts of the game in the second half where I was standing here watching the game just beyond where I'm sitting right now. I was watching the game on the screen. I was just saying, please, just shoot. Just shoot. We're getting onto the edge of the area. I was just literally begging, just have a pop. Even if the keeper saves it comfortably, just shoot, please.
Like, no one's going to lose it.
Yeah, I think Sandro picked it up from about 35, 40 yards out, and he had a bit of space to run into. I was thinking, just run into that space to take a pop. Just somebody shoot, please. Just make the goalkeeper work. Dean Henderson had his easiest game ever. But going back to goalkeepers, a goalkeeper we talked about actually when we had Graham Bailey on the show, Lucas Chevalier, he's from Lille actually, not Leon, Top Boy Junior. A decent shot stopper and good with the ball at his feet. He is a good player. Played well against Villa last season in the Europa Conference League. Ali B says he'll have huge clubs after him this summer. This is our chance, Daz. Going in for
it's like Marmash really all over again, though. It's like we talk about a certain player, do all our research on them, and then don't pull the trigger. It was 35 million that the Newcastle, well, at the time that they refused to go to. And we spent nothing in the end. Spent nothing. Have brought in Marmash really, have a keeper there for years to come. the Georgian connection with the new striker coming in future years as well. Frustrating again. A season of frustration.
Definitely. We talked about this, Luke, about Sula coming off the bench. We just talked about it. So great for you. Thank you for your comment. We definitely covered that one. Sorry, we didn't put your question up. Richard said heads turned due to transfer speculation. We asked the question about have players' mentalities changed, attitudes changed. He thinks over transfer speculation in the summer, overpromised and underdelivered certain elements when they signed. That about where you're at?
Yeah, headstrong. We talked about Gordon that time with the Liverpool, and then I think Longstaff mentioned it before, but everyone was potentially up for sale with that PSR debacle at the end of June. But this is football. It's a career where you are constantly on the move as well. It's rare that a player stays at a club for the whole of their career. Matthew Tissay being one of them. The top of my head, but it's part and parcel of it. But again, I know what Newcastle have built. It's that togetherness, it's that unity, the bond, and it is just all kind of starting to crumble a bit, and it's can he piece it back together to get that bit more out of them, to unlock them again. This is what we'll see in this next month, or it's gone.
It's really interesting you brought up Matt Le Tissier, does as a player that stays at his club for a long period of time. And he's the only real major, and there might be one or two others, but he's really the main anomaly that you kind of hear about because he stayed at Southampton. But you hear about Gary Neville, you hear about Paul Scholes and various other players that stayed at their clubs. You got some Man City players that have stayed at their clubs for a long time. Liverpool, there's a reason for that. It's because they win things. They're successful. And success means that if you're winning things, you're likely to stay there. If you're not, and you're certainly not going in the right direction, players won't want to stay at that club for very long. They will look at where they can get that success at the next juncture. And it's just a reality of the situation. But yeah, don't go to the dark side, Daz. Don't do it.
Yeah, a touch of that from Johnny. No, definitely not going that far. Don't worry there, Johnny.
One from Lee Jones. Why was Lewis Miley playing in the 23s and not even in the squad? Got too many midfield. We had the squad was. I think Daz, you put the squad earlier. We were full of talent and players.
Look at the bench. Yeah, then the bench: Dubravka, Trippier, Wilson, Barnes, Asula, Jake Murphy, Kelly, Almiron, as in Miggy, and Longstaff was on the bench. Yeah, and going to the question from Lee Jones there, I know True Geordie. Even Brian, he alluded that as well. He dropped a video there earlier, and he's saying as well, Miley should be. Why is he playing in the under 23s, or why is he not on the bench? At least I know he's come back from injury, but he's able to play there.
I'll be honest with you, I've got a little bit of a take on this with Lewis Miley. Not about why he wasn't in the squad. I kind of understood it to a point. My take on Lewis Miley is he will be Sean Longstaff's replacement next season. I think Sean Longstaff gets sold, and I think Louis Miley becomes that natural successor in midfield. He'll be 19 at that point. You can already see that physically he's developing. I think he'll get minutes at some point this season. If we continue to play the way we're playing, he might well look at Louis Miley and go, right, go and show me something different in that midfield. Because Sean Longstaff has had a couple of decent games, but then a couple of poor games. He might well throw him in and give him an opportunity again like he did before. But I think long term, I think he is Longstaff's replacement. And this is why I think Longstaff in a couple of interviews has talked about the fact that they're worried. He's even been worried about the fact that he's going to be sold at some point, because I think he knows it's coming. I think he knows he's going to be moved on at some point. And Louis Miley is a natural replacement to take him on, and I think that's the right decision to make.
But then as well, we can't have. This is a good linking back to Eddie, and I know I'm going a bit negative on Eddie in this show, but he can't put up the blockers to when all the facts point towards selling a player is the right decision, like the Wilson. He held on to Trippier and Dummett for so long, and not so much that there was buyers waiting for them in the wings, but he held on to them. He gave them extra contracts, and like I think Longstaff is a good squad player to have that at this moment in time. So I'm not throwing Longstaff under the bus, but he just needs to. I hope he does listen going forward. If he is here in January, and whatever Paul Mitchell is throwing at him, that he listens to what the options that are being thrown at him. Because there has to be options to be thrown. What are they all doing? What's the roles they're doing if they're not coming with them to, and not just landing 1st of January, be talking about this for months leading up to January and plotting a path forward.
If this is genuinely an issue about Longstaff being, we don't win if we don't. We've got a major problem if that's a genuine thing that people are still talking about.
That myth is busted. Yeah.
He better not be, William. He needs to be the first out the door. With all due respect to Miggy, he needs to be the first out the door in January. I'll put this up now just to get out the way. Thank you, Morgan. Always in the chat. He sent me the glasses gift because obviously his boy's got the win. Yes, we'll be ready for more questions on Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday? We're doing that show Tuesday.
I guess so.
God, I bet you Wolfie gets that marked in his calendar. He can't wait. Fairness to that, anyone that didn't watch Top Table Talk, this is like a good half-hour session just on Newcastle alone, and great input from the lads on Eddie Howe, and some of the points they're making are valid. So it was a good discussion, and there'll be another one incoming.
Yeah, definitely. There will definitely be one coming. Question here from our boy. We'll revisit it again because you've mentioned Eddie Howe. Question, boys: did yesterday feel like the beginning of the end for Eddie? Is it the players? Is it Eddie and his staff, or do you feel something more than that? Yesterday sounds horrendous. Daz, I just think he wants you to join him on the dark side. That's
yeah. I really don't want to lose.
That's what he's asking.
I really don't want to lose Eddie and JT. I love what they've built, but it needs. We'll put up on that picture of Eddie as we're talking about him here. Like he needs to get something out of these lads, and it needs to happen quick. Did it feel like the beginning of the end for Eddie? It's been tinkering on that for since the start of the season, where we weren't playing well, but we're getting the points, and then the couple of crazy results. It does look like it's heading towards the long goodbye, but that may come sooner if things don't start to improve.
Yeah, this is this is the first from Chris, a long run of 3 or 4 questions about Eddie Howe. So Lee Jones says Howe taking the team as far as he can. Are players still playing for him or not? In the last year, things just don't seem right. And are we going backwards? At present, we've got John that says, in my opinion, Howe has lost the plot. His post-match interview was very bizarre. Must think fans are fools saying we played well, etc., etc. His subs were strange. 2 centre forwards and plays Barnes. How time issues now up. I think basically saying Howe's time is now up. Munch is said as well. Even Munch, evening lads, has Eddie taken us as far as he can. Also, is it time to sell one of the big assets to help move the team forward amongst PSR issues? I'm not Eddie in or out, just can't see where we're heading. So we'll kind of stop on that for a second, because I think that's an interesting one. What do you think, Daz?
I started that comment from what you said as soon as I came in, because it is exactly what I'm thinking. Has Eddie taken us as far as he can? I'm yet to see it. I don't have the answer, because I'm hoping and praying that he can turn things around. Is it time to sell one of our big assets? I said it on the last show, the last therapy session in West Ham. I think it is edging closer to a mini kind of a rebuild for Newcastle, mainly because of PSR. I think we're going to have to sell one of the big assets to free us up a bit. And I think just to freshen things up as well, and with that as well, I'm if I think we're going to go down that route of all that, I think it's with the new manager as well, and so it is as things stand. It is looking like everything is heading that direction. That feeds into what the narrative that the top table talk lads were saying. Why wait and until summer to do that? Eddie deserves to be given the chance to try and change things. I don't know how long of a chance we should give him though as well. So that's why I'm pointing back, and I've changed my mind from till the summer to December. There's enough games in there that are against teams that we should be winning against for him to prove himself to me and to us and to all of us that he is the man to take us forward. Even Paul Mitchell says Eddie Howe is an elite manager. Now is your time to shine, Eddie.
Now is your time to shine. Yeah, another one from Lee. If the results and performances continue as they have, will Howe still be in before January? And do PAIF allow him to spend the transfer budget again? It's another interesting one. Any thoughts on that?
Ruthless. Bring back that word, and I think we who knows? Who knows? This will be the biggest change ever if they were to go down the route of offloading Eddie after all the debacle in the summer of England looking at him, or England looking at him, or no one wants him to go to actually pull in the trigger here. I don't know. That's none of us know what PIF are thinking here.
Yeah, Jonathan Gray says even though I don't know what to think about how as a manager would love to see it turn around. Look, I think all of us here before would have been exactly the same. I think one or two are drifting to the dark side as we're progressing. Yeah, but look, I think everybody here appreciates Eddie Howe with what he's done since he's come into the club. I think everyone's on that mindset, and we appreciate everything he's done. But just because we appreciate everything he's done doesn't mean that we can't critique what's going on at the moment. And there's things that happen that are clearly not right. There was someone in my comments with regards to how people are. Because I woke up this morning still absolutely fuming, and I put it out there as a tweet, and there was one person that came back and said, because I asked the question, how is everyone still fuming about the result yesterday? And one person come back and said, only the bedwetters. And I was like, well, if you, and I refer to the person, if you are happy with no shots on target in a 95-minute match, then good for you. But I think Newcastle United fans are quite well within their rights to ask the question, what's going on when we're playing 19th in the league, Crystal Palace, who are shocking, by the way, and not putting a shot on target, and our only goal is an own goal that potentially was a minute away from winning the game. That's not good enough for the team that we want to be. I don't care what happened 3 years ago. I'm talking about the here and now, as you mentioned earlier. That is not good enough. If that was under Steve Bruce, we would have been going absolutely mad. There would have been uproar if we'd have seen that performance. And at times we saw close to that type of performance. So that performance right now in this moment is not acceptable. Pete,
before you go on, I have a question for you, right?
Go for
If the dark side is Eddie Howe out, right? If that's what the dark side is we're referring to, what has to happen for you to turn to the dark side?
I've been very, very clear on my expectations for Newcastle United this season. Minimum European football. What position that looks like would be determined by the English team's performances in the Premier League. So effectively, it could be as low as 8th, depending on our performances in Europe this season. It could be as high up as 6th. So it could depend. But if we don't get European football this season, with the club that we're aiming to be, Eddie Howe, I don't expect to be in a job this summer.
Okay. So I'm gonna add another bit onto that question. So you're saying at the moment you're still waiting until the end of the season, and it's only if we don't get European football you would expect us not to continue with Eddie Howe. So I'll throw at you a scenario: we lose to Liverpool, we draw with Brentford away, we lose to Leicester at home, we get knocked out of the cup, we draw with Ipswich, and we draw with Villa. You still...
I don't think we need to get as far as Ipswich stands. I'll be honest with you. If those results happen, so you said what you just said: loss at Liverpool, loss against Liverpool, draw at Brentford, loss at Leicester.
Yeah. I specifically put that in for you.
my head's on Mars if we do that. Right? If we do that, my head is on Mars. But I'll give it one more game. If we do all of those results, lose at Leicester, lose at Liverpool, lose at home to Leicester, lose at home to Liverpool, draw away to Brentford, and then lose to Brentford in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, I think the fan base at that point will be so toxic. I think massive questions will be asked, if not before, of Eddie Howe's position as manager. I don't think it gets to Ipswich at that point. And that's not me saying that. That's me thinking of how the fan base is right now, of potentially 3 big losses later and only 1 point on the board effectively in the next 3 or 4, three Premier League games and 1 cup. Like, that would be absolutely, like, I don't see how fans and journalists and everybody else is not talking about potential removal of the manager at that point. That was how I'd see it.
It doesn't come to that.
For me, I've always said, like, end of the season, let's wait and see how he performs. Let's give him the rest of the season for that. But if we're cut adrift in the bottom half of the table and we're 6, 7, 8 points adrift of any type of European football, and we look like we're not getting European football at all, I do think that the owners will look to remove. I genuinely do. Now, we are very lucky that we're in a position where teams are beating everybody at the moment. And so we're 3 points behind Forest that are in, just trying to think now. I'll just up here. So Forest are in 6th.
Yeah, cheers.
So we're 3 points away from Forest in 6th. We're a point away from Tottenham in 7th. And we're in 11th place. So we're still in that big kind of congested zone where one result can completely flip you. If we do a miracle and we beat Liverpool at home, with the midweek fixtures going up, we could be up there and everyone's having a different conversation there. We could be potentially sitting ahead of Forest, who go to Man City. I don't know. I can't remember. I think Tottenham have got Chelsea. So
they have Brentford. Sorry, Bournemouth.
Oh, Bournemouth. Apologies. I think they've got Chelsea coming up. Someone mentioned it earlier, so I just assumed that was the next game. They've got, Brentford have got Villa. Man United have got Arsenal. Fulham have got Brighton. You look at those games; they're all playing each other. That's a great opportunity. If we can go and do the impossible and beat Liverpool, we're right back in that we're right back in that conversation, and we've only played one game. But that for me just tells you everything you need to know of how frustrated we are. You add 5 points onto the from the last two games. Beat West Ham, beat Palace. Look at where we'd be in the table.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sitting comfortably.
It'll be 24 points. We're fourth.
Yeah.
Right behind Chelsea.
This is why Newcastle fans are so frustrated.
Ridiculous.
We had an opportunity to really turn this season round and look in a positive light. We beat West Ham, we beat Palace, two more than winnable games. We're sitting fourth in the table right now, and everyone's narrative is completely changed.
Exactly.
This is why it's so frustrating. So frustrating.
And that leads back to the age-old quote, it's the hope that kills you, because there's been so many chances that we jump towards the top of towards the Champions League positions, but we keep falling at that hurdle to jump. Right, that's enough of that league table.
Yeah, let's not look at that any longer. Right, a few questions before we wrap. There's a comment here that kind of talks about what we've just said. So Max mentions we're 1 point behind Spurs, lads, and we've just talked about that as a reminder. It's so congested that we're still in the conversation. Chippers, we don't see this guy often enough in our chat. Time for Eddie to go. Nothing tells me anything other than regression and no progression. We've talked about Eddie lots tonight. I
saw Chippers putting that up on Facebook or something like that recently as well. So yeah, I know where Chippers stands.
I don't know if you saw Gordon's interview on the Newcastle account, but if you did, what did you make of his comments?
I only saw a clip and I can't remember what he said. He was kind of alluding to.
He talked about us being the nearly men too often. What do you
he didn't seem to think that there was too much wrong with the performance from what the little clip I saw, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it, to tell you the truth, Pete.
No, well, he says that we defended okay, but we've become the nearly men, and that we're not as effective in the final third. Ultimately, I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what I kind of took from what he said. But I'll be honest, for some people they went, "Yeah, Gordon, you're right." It annoyed me. It really did. Anthony Gordon's comments. I've talked about Anthony Gordon so many times before, whether it's England or Newcastle. He talks really well, but the problem is his performances are not backing things up. And I get frustrated after a while when I hear people talking all the time, and then they're not putting performances in. And I'm at this mindset now with Gordon. Please just stop talking. Just do the business on the pitch.
Do it on the pitch.
I'm whether I'm wrong or not, I don't know, but that's my mindset. It's great to hear your words. You're ultimately right in what you're saying. We are the needy men. We talked about the games that we probably should have won and we didn't. But at this point, and how frustrated Newcastle fans are, just stop talking. Just get your head down and put performances in for Newcastle United. Because people can talk all they want, but if they're not putting those performances in, and Gordon hasn't this season for us, he's been really poor for us this season. He, more than anybody, needs a performance. So I need to see him put the performances in and not the comment about the nearly men. Because let's be honest, we've been absolutely impotent in our attacking performance, and he's been part of that. He's been part of the reason why we've not been great in attack. So it's all right him saying we're nearly men, but he's contributing to that. So if he's sitting on 5, 6, 7 goals and we've still not been great in attack, he's probably got an argument to say, yeah, we're not been great in attack. knowing that he's put the ball in the net or
He's
put
doing the
balls on,
business. Yeah.
but he's not. So go do the business first and then talk afterwards. That's am I wrong thinking that? I don't know.
No. Look, it's Harvey Barnes and Isak with 4 goals apiece, our top goal scorers. And I don't know who after that, but it's not many. As you were saying the other day, Pete, share the load as well. Score a few goals like we used to. And yeah, it was a stat from the Geordie journals. I remember them saying that last season, and I might have the numbers wrong, so don't shoot me, but 85 goals I think we could have scored last season. We've scored about 14 this season after 13 games. So that's a goal a game. That's what was the stats they were saying. So where are the goals? Take a few shots
goals.
first.
5 goals in 6 home games this season. So we've scored less goals than we have played matches. Like, that is not acceptable at St. James's Park. And ultimately, I'm going to leave it on this.
We don't shoot.
We don't shoot. So on Wednesday, Newcastle, please shoot. Please. That's all we're asking. Make the goalkeeper work. Even if they make a worldie save, you've made a shot. Just give us something, please. Jesus.
Right. You know what? On that note, we're saying goodbye, Pete. We've said enough. Like the players, like Gordon, go do it on the pitch on Wednesday. But we'll actually, no, we have to say something else. We're back tomorrow because our next match coming up is this one. Yes, Chuckles, I'm in danger. Hopefully not. Let's lead them into a false sense of security. As you can see, this is what I'm doing here with the poster. Champions elect. Let's even clap them onto the pitch. Why not even do that? But then once they kick off, go for them and lay into them. But yeah, we're back with that. With that, you tell us what we're back with.
Yeah, I'm to a wrap. Big Liverpool channel. We've had the pleasure of having them on before, and Neil's come back to talk to us all things Liverpool and Newcastle United. And you know what? This is going to be a must watch because he is very, very honest in his opinions on both Liverpool and Newcastle United. He doesn't hold back. And we're going to ask him all the questions about Liverpool and their title challenge, Mohamed Salah, but we're also going to ask him about Eddie Howe and Newcastle United and the project and where he thinks we should be and where we are. And we're going to get down to the big business tomorrow. So it's going to be a really good conversation. 8 o'clock. Make sure you're there. It's going to be a really good chat with Neil from the Anfield Wrap. So looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that, and probably not so much looking forward then to on Tuesday a top table talk roasting from the boys again. I was thinking when we're 1-0 up, at least we won't have to take abuse this week, but we'll be taking abuse once more on Tuesday. So come join us and help us out.
Adby's ready.
Pete.
Back in the bin.
Back in the bin. So yeah, top table talk, and then we'll have a reaction show sometime as the week progresses. But that is it. Just hope this man is back for us on Tuesday. Gimme. Please, just take a few shots, lads. Good night, everyone.